If you're a high school basketball player and you want to get recruited to play college basketball, it can be tough and it can be a little bit confusing. There is some information out there, but it's hard to know exactly what it takes and what college coaches are actually looking for when they're recruiting. Now, there are plenty of people in basketball players' lives that are trying to convince them that they know the exact recipe to get recruited, including basketball trainers, AAU coaches. They'll tell you that they have all these people in their phone and all these contacts, and this is what they're looking for, blah, 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 blah. Most of the time, they have no idea what they're talking about. And when you do some research and you try to figure this out yourself, like going onto YouTube here and typing in how to get recruited to play college basketball, mainly what you see is other creators, right? You're seeing people telling you what it's going to take, but you're not really hearing from the coach's mouth. There are a couple of videos that I have found that we're going to listen to and react to and see if we can find some answers there. But most of the stuff that's on YouTube or anywhere else is former players, which can be okay, but just other creators that are just giving you advice, but it's not actually coming from these college coaches or these recruiters' mouth, which is what we want to hear, because I want to hear from the source. What are they actually looking for? Now, like I said, this is not so easy to find, but I did find a couple videos that we can watch and react to. But first, before we react to the videos, we have to understand something. The transfer portal is affecting almost every single level when it comes to recruitment. So let's look at some stats real quick. Number one, nearly 2,700 players have entered the men's transfer portal this last season. And out of the top 100 high school recruits last season, only 14 of them came in and became full-time starters. And just one came in and averaged double figures. And less than half even averaged 5 points a game. What does that mean for high school players, especially at the D1 level? There's probably going to be fewer scholarship offers. Like it says here, coaches are prioritizing college transfers over the high school kids because of the experience that they have. Now, obviously, like it says here, the top 25 players nationally are still safe. Like, they're still going to get their offers. They'll be just fine. But if you're in the middle tier or even the lower tier at the D1 level, this is where it's going to get tough. If you think about D2, what you're seeing is some D2 players that are playing very well. They're trying to transfer up to D1. But there's also a reverse effect of that. There's some D1 players that are not playing very well that hit the portal that don't get offers that are transferring down to D2, which again makes it tough for high school players to get in because some D1 players are transferring down to those D2 levels. Now, you're still going to have some opportunity there. And if you play well, you could transfer up to D1. But with those D1 players coming down to D2, it kind of crowds that D2 market as well. So as you can see, the transfer portal isn't just affecting D1 and those top players. It has a ripple effect that goes all the way down to that D2 level. And I'm sure D3 and NAI are seeing some of the effects as well. So now that we know that the transfer portal is making it even harder for high school players to get a college scholarship, let's listen to these videos and hear from these coaches and figure out exactly what they're looking for.
Toughness, basketball IQ.
Aggressiveness. I like guys that are aggressive.
Toughness, basketball IQ, and aggressiveness. Now, keep in mind, these are D1 coaches, right? So I can't just be a really smart player that's super tough, but be 5'9", unathletic, and not that skilled, right? I still have to have those other things, but if I'm really skilled and I'm a freak athlete, but I'm not tough and I have no IQ, at this level, they'll pass on you, right? But again, just because I'm a tough player, I'm aggressive, and I have IQ, doesn't mean a D1 coach is going to come knocking on the door. You still have to have other things. So you're going to hear some advice from these coaches, and you're going to think, well, that's easy. I'm tough. I have that. But you have to understand that they're kind of not talking about like, yeah, we also want you to be 6'5". We also want you to be built. We want you to be a freak athlete. They're talking like, hey, here's this pool of these freak athletes. There's hundreds of them, thousands of them. Here are the small things that I'm actually looking for outside of the obvious things like scoring, athleticism, things like that.
Aggressiveness. I like guys that are aggressive, looking to make plays. And that doesn't definitely mean scoring. That just means assists, steals, rebounding, just making plays on the floor.
Competitive spirit.
Energy and toughness.
Intensity.
I think there's a trend here, right? These coaches, they don't want players that are just kind of like walking around like zombies. They want people that are locked in every game, every tournament, ready to play hard and trying to win. If they're saying that, and that seems like an obvious thing, like, yeah, we should be competitive. But if they're saying that, then that's telling you that there's an opportunity there. There's a lack of players that are intense, that are tough, that are competitive?
How hard they play, their character, how they react with their teammates, and their overall skill set. And do they have that determination to really want to win?
That's an interesting one. He's talking about all the stuff that we've already talked about, toughness, how hard they play, things like that. But he talks about how they react to their teammates. So you're having coaches not only watch you when you have the ball and you're scoring and you're making the plays, but they're watching your reactions when you get subbed out, when you make a mistake, when your teammates make a mistake, when the ref makes a call that you don't like. They are watching, they're locked in, watching your reactions to those things.
Teammate, be coachable. Obviously, you got to have the talent, but that stuff's even more important.
So right there, that's a good clip right there. He says, be a good teammate, be coachable, but you have to have the talent, right? You can't just be a great teammate, be super tough, and be super coachable, but be 5'10", unathletic, can't dribble, can't score, right? He's saying you have to have the skill set. That's number one. You have to be able to do these things. And then you got to have those other things, right? So to even get into this realm of recruiting, you're going to have to be a good scorer. You're just going to have to be skilled, right? And then there's opportunity for you to separate yourself by being coachable, being tough, being competitive, kind of like what they're talking about.
Look for who competes. End of the day, who competes in this environment, that's what it's all about for us.
Look for a player who's tougher. I look for a player who seems passionate about the game. I think all of us are looking for guys that we know they need to improve. So if you have toughness and you have some passion, you'll probably improve.
We're looking to find out which players play to win. Like the first thing on their mind is they make everybody better and they play to win on both ends of the ball. Every possession is winning basketball.
Toughness plays hard and wants to compete. Toughness is probably a straight something that gets exposed.
All right, to summarize this video that we just watched, coaches are looking for people that are competitive, that try to win the game, that are tough, and that are coachable. All right? Those are things that don't seem that difficult, but again, if these coaches are saying that, that means that there's an opportunity there and that there's plenty of players that are not doing that. So if you want to get recruited, you need to be showing these things. All right, let's watch another one.
Well, there's no question that character is a big part before you offer a scholarship to a young man, and we do our homework. Social media and how a young person, how a prospect, their behavior or their who they are on social media is a big part of it. And I have assistants who kind of, as we're recruiting, will track that.
They're watching. Coaches are watching what you're doing online. Keep that in mind.
I think your best thing is when you go into the schools. This is where the schools are so important. When you go into the schools and you talk to guidance counselors, the English teacher, and the general student body, you get a great vibe. I'm always got many antennas up when I am in a school for, let's say, a 2-hour visit. Certainly I'm going to meet with the kid. I'm going to talk to the coach. I'm going to watch him play. But there's his English teacher. I'm going to get up and say, tell me about him.
That's so interesting. How you treat your teachers, how you treat the janitor, how you teach the people at the front desk at the school. That's who they're talking to. That is crazy. It just goes to show you like your character and how you carry yourself, not only with the people that can give you opportunities, right? Your coaches, your teammates, people that are recruiting you, but just everyday people in your life that are there, like in your school, trying to help you. How you treat those people is so important because you never know. You never know. And if somebody were to ask about you to some random person that knows you a little bit or has had a couple encounters with you, you want to make sure that they have nothing but good things to say.
And guidance, come on, tell me about it. And I think you really you need to really digest who the young man is from other people other than the coach.
When coaches talk about players having good character, that's what they're talking about. How you treat other people, how you treat your teammates, how you treat your coach, and what they would say about you if you weren't in the room. All right, let's hear from Gino.
Recruiting enthusiastic kids is harder than it's ever been. Because every kid watches TV and they watch the NBA or they watch Major League Baseball or they watch the NFL, whatever sport they watch, WNBA, it doesn't matter. And what they see is people just being really cool. So they think that's how they're going to act. and they haven't even figured out which foot to use as a pivot foot, and they're going to act like they're really good players.
This is fun. I just made a video about the hooper that tries so hard to be nonchalant. For some reason, there's this weird trend going around where, middle school and high school players, mostly boys from what I see, kind of walk around like they just don't care, right? They don't want to be the try hard. They, try to have some sort of swagger in the pregame warm up, but they're kind of hurting themselves and they don't look cool. I don't know what they're trying to look like, but it's not a cool thing. And if you're trying to get recruited, I would avoid that at all costs.
You see it all the time. You see it at every AAU tournament. You see it every high school game. So recruiting kids that are really upbeat and loving life and love the game and have this tremendous appreciation for when their teammates do something well, that's hard. That's hard. It's really.
Isn't that crazy? That one of the greatest coaches of all time in basketball is saying it's hard to find players that look enthusiastic to play basketball. Imagine you're an actual recruitable kid, right? You have a little bit of size, some athleticism, and you're skilled. And you're getting recruited by other coaches, and they're recruiting other kids too. But one of the ways that you separate yourself from the other kids is just that you're enthusiastic. And when you're on the court, you have energy. You look like you want to be there. That's an actual separator at this point in basketball. Number one, you have to be a recruitable talent, meaning you have to be skilled, you got to be a good shooter, you got to be able to score, you got to be able to play the game at a decent to high level. That's always going to be number one. Whether coaches admit that or not, they don't want kids that are really not skilled at basketball but have all the other intangibles. Now, as you're developing your skill set and your game, you also have to improve on all these other things that coaches are talking about in these videos. Being locked in the whole game and being competitive and trying to win. Seems like a simple thing, but if these coaches are talking about it this much, you know that there's a lack of it. Being coachable and having good body language. Again, seems like simple things, but coaches are talking about it. Now, look, I grew up in a town of 300 people, and I went to a very, very small high school. The way that I got recruited was by playing a little bit of AAU basketball, but at the end of the day, I had to go play very, very well on my high school team to actually get looks. I had to average literally 28 points something, almost 30 points a game in my senior year to get attention. From where I'm from, I couldn't just average 10 points a game and be tough, competitive, and coachable to get people to come notice me. I couldn't do it. I had to make a name for myself. I didn't play on one of those top AAU teams where we're playing at these massive tournaments. So if you feel like you're a normal kid, maybe a little bit athletic, but not super athletic, not a freak, you have some height and some length, but not a lot, kind of like how I grew up, and you're in a smaller area where you're not getting a lot of attention, to be honest with you, for me, in my experience, you're probably going to have to go make a name for yourself somehow. Trust me, my dad and myself, we tried everything. We did all of the recruiting services. We made profiles on all these things, paid for all these services to get people to notice us. I think it helped a little bit, but ultimately, that's not what brought the coaches to come see me. I think you could put your own game film together, your own highlights from your high school season and your AAU season, and I think you could put that together, and I think you could send emails out to all the coaches and all the programs that you potentially could play for and want to play for. All of those things are definitely going to help for sure. At the end of the day, you either have to be on a big team playing on a big stage, or if you're from a small area like myself, you're going to have to go make a name for yourself. All right, let me know if you need more help when it comes to recruitment. We could probably dive a little bit deeper on this topic. Let me know in the comments. And if there's a different topic that you want me to cover, let me know in the comments as well. Peace.